Men, you need to achieve your goals like a pro. I'm Mike Mason. This is the Immortal Combat Podcast. The Immortal Combat Podcast is the podcast arm of Very Christie. Very Christie is a Catholic lay apostolate devoted to help men attain the full stature of Christ by growing strong in mind, body, and spirit. If you'd like to learn more about our work, you can check us out online at verychristie.com and stjoesociety.org. All right, gentlemen, happy Friday to you guys. Welcome back for the second Friday podcast of this new year. And to keep with my resolution, because we talked about resolutions last week, if you would hit like, subscribe, all those things at the bottom. It's going to help us get our word out there. We always start recruiting new priests to partner with each spring. We've grown every year so far, which is great. But getting the word out there more about the work we're doing, one easy way you can help us, hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, all right, look at that. 2 weeks in a row, kept up with my resolution. All right. Last week we talked about New Year's resolutions, whether we should make them or not. Okay. I like resolutions. I like goal setting, all that sort of stuff. I think people set themselves up to fail in their resolutions. We talked a little bit about that last week, that people who the most popular resolution is to get in better shape, right? To exercise more. 80% of people by February 1st aren't doing that. Okay. So that's not great. I'm a fan of resolutions. I'm a fan of making goals. And I think we get this from God. Okay. God made human beings to pursue goals and attempt to achieve them. Okay. We live in a teleologically ordered universe. What's that fancy word? I got to use fancy words every now and again because I pay a lot for my education. That means we are ordered towards certain ends. We're ends oriented. Okay. So God made us to pursue certain ends. All right. There's purpose and meaning infused into the natural order by God. All right. Now, goals, there need to be final and intermediate. Okay. So a final goal are those which bring an activity to a close, like you're done. So as I'm recording this, the national championship, football national championship, will be played against Indiana versus Miami. Whoever thought in a million years Indiana would be in the national championship. But if you guys are an IU fan, congratulations. Crazy statistic. This is a little off topic, but whatever. One, they pounded on Oregon. That was Cignetti's a fantastic football coach. Crazy statistic. If you watch it, you might have caught this. This season, they've beaten 3 top 5 teams, okay, which is impressive. Up until this season, they were 1-87 against top 5 teams all time. Okay, that's just mind-boggling. But anyways, when I record this next week, maybe we'll be talking about which one of those 2 teams won. But I'm from Big Ten country. I'm a Big Ten guy, so I'll root for Indiana. Goals. The final goals are those that bring activity to a close. Next Monday night, the college football season will come to a close. One of those 2 teams, well, both of them are going to stop playing football after Monday night. One of them will achieve their final goal. There's nothing left to do. So when you achieve a final goal, there's nothing else to do. There's no practice on Tuesday morning. It's over. Intermediate goals are short-term goals that they're just like it sounds, they're intermediate. You go through them to achieve the final. Okay. So I like resolutions. I think they're a good thing. I think we should have annual goals, things you want to get done this year, maybe even longer than that, maybe 10 and 5-year goals. We should have, but we need to break these down into monthly, weekly, and even daily. That'll help us be more successful. So last week I talked about SMART goals, okay? Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. This week I want to give you 4 other hints or strategies to help you achieve your goals, okay? First, don't talk about your goals, achieve them, okay? Some people, they think that if they set goals and they talk about it a whole bunch, it's going to allow them to achieve it, right? That'll motivate them. So they'll tell their friends, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they keep talking about that. Okay. Studies have been done that show that this actually does not help, okay? People who talk about their goals lose motivation and fail to accomplish them. Why? When you talk about goals, it feels good. Okay. I have some goals right now, which I'm not going to talk about. Be a hypocrite here on the YouTube. When you talk about goals, it feels good. what studies have shown is that people who talk about them a lot, okay, it tricks their brain, okay? And it tricks their brain into thinking that they've already accomplished them. Okay, now how does this work? Let's say you're talking about this great goal you have, and it feels good to think and talk about it. Achieving goals, very difficult. Okay. So at some point when you're trying to do achieve something worthwhile, some goal that's worthwhile, you're gonna run into weariness. You're gonna get tired. It may be painful. It's gonna be difficult, and you're gonna have to have some fortitude to push through. What happens in those moments? People who talk about their goals a lot, apparently psychologically, it tricks our brain into thinking we've already achieved it, and so we don't, and so that the people in the studies didn't follow through on their goals. Okay. So talking about your goals a whole bunch does not help. Okay. So when I say don't talk about your goals, what I mean is this: you need to set them. It may be good to write them down, but goals are things you want to write down and kind of put on the wall and not look at, not talk about. Okay. As you write the goals, you need to write what does it take to achieve the goals, and that's what you focus on. Okay. So right now I'm working on my doctoral dissertation. It would be fun and pleasurable to think about what it's like to defend the doctoral dissertation, be called Dr. Mason. Okay. I'm not Dr. Mason right now. Maybe someday I will be, but thinking about that goal too much is gonna trick my brain. So instead, what I do is the time I set aside to work on my dissertation every day and every week, my focus is only fulfilling that commitment. So today, I worked on my dissertation a little bit. Check, done. Tomorrow, I have a plan of what I'm going to do first thing in the morning. I've got to put time into it. Okay. Focus on the daily steps to achieve it, not talking about the ultimate reality. Okay. All right. That's first piece. Second piece, do what the pros do, whether you're doing sports, trying to grow spiritually, trying to be the best in your field. If you guys are an engineer or construction worker, whatever it is you do, you need to model the behavior of professionals. Okay. A professional knows what it takes to do whatever it is you're wanting to do. So you have to model yourselves after the pros. So I'm a theology professor, okay, trying to finish a doctoral dissertation. One thing I try to do is I look at what other scholars do, okay, guys who have already done it, and what did they do to achieve it. Okay, I'll look at St. Thomas's advice for study. I read that. What does he advise someone do? So by doing that, I'm looking at guys who have what I want, guys who have already walked the path that I am on. What did they do? Okay. So find people to model their behavior and do what they do. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do exactly what they do. Okay. For example, I have a wife and 5 kids. I'm not a Dominican priest like St. Thomas Aquinas was. Okay. I can't devote myself to studies in the same way he did, but I can garner inspiration from him and then take some nuggets to help me stay on the track. Okay. Stuff like that. So, first piece of advice, don't talk about your goals to achieve them. Next, do what the pros do. Find who's the greats in your field. And when it comes to spiritual life, read about the saints. Maybe you won't be able to be as heroic as Saint Benedict or Saint Anthony or something like that, but glean off of them and try to model. That's the whole St. Joseph Society and Very Christi. We have a rule of life. Guys, the rule of life we practice, hey, I mean, I quote unquote made that up. I took inspiration just from different religious orders. Okay. And I didn't do exactly what they did, but I learned from the Franciscans and the Benedictines and the Dominicans and what did they do well. And I tried to show, okay, how would a layman do this in a way that's possible? Okay. So do what the pros do. All right. Next one. When you're trying, if you need a language, right? So you need something to like pump yourself up or keep yourself motivated. Use I do or I don't language rather than I can or I can't. Okay. So there was a study once and there was 3 groups. One group, they gave everybody this exercise routine they're supposed to keep up with for a month. The first group got nothing. No, they didn't teach them anything. They just gave them the routine, said, hey, do this. We'll report back at the end of the month how you did. Okay. See ya. The next group, they said they taught them I can or I can't language. They said, listen, when you're working out and you're struggling, okay, and you're struggling to get to the gym or finish your workouts, if you're really struggling, here's what you need to do. Say, I can do this workout. I can do it. Or if you're thinking you're going to eat a donut or not go where I can't skip my workout. I can't eat this donut. So they gave them this language kind of to tell them like this will help you get over those humps. Okay, left. The last group they gave I do or I don't language. So I do go work out. I do eat healthy foods. I don't skip workouts. I don't eat junk food, stuff like that. And then they sent them out. Okay, when they came back, the people who were given no language whatsoever, 3 out of 10 kept their workout goals. Okay, 3 out of 10. Not great. The people given I can't and I can't, I can and I can't language, this is wild. Okay, 1 out of 10. Yikes. And the people given I do and I don't language, 8 out of 10 completed the goal. Now, why is this? Well, this is what the guys who conducted the study, their conclusion was. The I can and I can't language roots a behavior in the will. So you're saying, I can do it. I can do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And so when psychologically, when you root the behavior in the will, if you can do something, you also can choose not to. Or if you can't do something or you shouldn't, I still can. Okay. Because it rooted that language roots the decision in the will, the people tend not to achieve the goal. They give themselves an out. Why were the I do and I don't language so much stronger? The I do and I don't doesn't place the activity in the will, but in a person's identity. Okay. So what they found is when someone says, I do these things and I don't do these things, okay, that is they're identifying themselves with that behavior. And this helps motivate people to do the right thing. Because if you think about it, think of the difference in sports. Because I tell a lot of young guys, I coach sports and especially football. And I say there are guys who play football and there's football players. A football player doesn't miss workouts. A football player doesn't cut his reps short. A football player does extra reps after practice, watches film. A guy who plays football doesn't. And the difference is a football player, that's who he is. So I like to coach football. I don't call myself a football coach. Okay. I coach football. I'm not a football coach. Why? Because I'm not as devoted to it as Kurt Signetti is. Okay. Or other guys. All right. Which is fine. You don't need to be totally devoted to everything. I enjoy doing it and I try to do a good job, but I'm not a football coach. I just coach football. Okay. The I do or I don't language is going to take the behavior and make it yours. So what I recommend to guys, and we have, monthly plans that I've put out, is I actually write down who I am. I'm a Catholic Christian. Okay. I'm a theologian. Um, I'm a family man, right? I'm a husband and a father. And then my monthly goals are based around those things. So as a Catholic Christian, what should I do? And the voice I say, listen, this is what a Catholic man does. This is the language I use with my wife and kids about going to mass and prayers and things. This is just what a Catholic does. A husband and father, what do I do? A husband and father, plays with the kids. A husband and father make sure food's on the table. A husband and father gets his family to mass on Sundays. Those are I do and I don't. As a theologian, I have work goals. Okay. What do I do and I don't do? This, again, it's not going to be 100% effective. We all fall short at times. That's fine. Okay. You gotta embrace your own weakness. When you fall short, thank God for it because it just shows you that there's nothing to be proud about. Okay. But I do and I don't language can help a lot. And I think you can instill this into your children too. So talk to your sons, talk to your daughters, use your last name. Tell them a Catholic Christian doesn't do this or a Catholic Christian does that. My last name's Mason. I tell my boys and my daughters, a Mason man doesn't act this way. Things like that. Because it does help with sustained behavior. So, all right, we are bumping up against the end of our time, but hopefully that was a little helpful to you guys. So last week we talked about SMART goals. Okay. This week we talked about don't talk about your goals, achieve them. Use I do and I don't language. Okay. And do what the pros do. Okay. if you guys follow that advice, I have found keeping these things in mind when I write my goals is very helpful, and helps me achieve it. What I'm going to think about this week is what I'm going to do for Lent. And I think I'm going to extend out an invitation to anybody who wants to do a set a baseline of practice for Lent that maybe some of us can do together, to kind of motivate us to have a really great and penitential Lent. But I'm going to stop there because we're butting over the 15-minute mark. So I hope you guys have a blessed week. Like, subscribe, do all those things that help us out here on YouTube and what else. And I will look forward to talking to you guys next time. So be blessed, fellas. See ya.